Hello, dear friends. I don't trust in any human's plan, but only in the divine plan, and that is what gives me security. I believe that nothing happens by accident, because the universe has a divine plan and the future is glorious. Open abyss. What is the divine plan? It is heaven on earth. It is a spiritual evolution. It is like a spiral in a circle. It is liberation from the lowest frequency. Awakening of consciousness is enlightenment. The Creator decreed a glorious future for humankind. Let's start. A plan is an idea, an intention, a project, an objective, a program, an attitude, a purpose, and a divine conjuration or contrivance. Divine means excellent and superb, heavenly, paradisiacal, eternal, superhuman, pure, and delightful. The divine plan is the path which, with infinite love, has been laid out for every living being from before birth. This manifestation of his divine love, by giving each living being a mission to accomplish, gives a transcendental meaning to his life, to the human life. Divine will is the power attributed to the divine, whose providence determines natural events beyond human control. Divine providence is God's care for creation and its creatures. The human being who makes good use of his free will, choosing to do the divine will, and follows the laws of creation, is recognizing that only the Creator can provide him with the full happiness he longs for himself and his brethren, and that only the Absolute can lead souls to the best eternal destiny. Doing the divine will makes you free, and not doing it makes you a slave. Clearly, it is a free and voluntary choice of the living being to act according to the divine will. Treat others as you would like to be treated, including animals. Do not harm or eat them. Forgive everyone. Do not covet. If 10,000 people hear these teachings, it is likely that only one will follow them. If people would follow these teachings, there would be peace on earth. Opinions. Salusa of Syria says the divine plan is to release us from the lower frequencies and end the cycle, while giving each soul the opportunity to rise. Ascension is in accordance with the divine plan, so if we look at our own lives carefully enough, we can see the divine plan in action. If we study the words of earthly and extraterrestrial sages, we can hear the plan described and explained. In various visions, the sages have had give us the flavor of it, and the galactics and masters who have gathered around the planet at this time of ascension also tell us that they are following it. We have evidence from our own lives and from the experience of the masters, terrestrial and galactic, that the divine plan exists, and this same plan contains within it the decree and the provision that this planet will ascend and we will ascend with it. As Plato wrote, he who cares for the universe has all things ordered for the salvation and virtue of the whole, so that each part of the multiplicity also suffers, and does as far as possible what is expedient for it. To each of them there are established leaders who continually direct what they must do down to the smallest detail, and enforce the purpose of the universe in every nook and cranny. This situation is understood as a manifestation of trust in the Creator, recognizing him as a loving Father who wants to walk hand in hand with us, give us guide us, protect us, and lead us to eternal happiness. Divine evolution. The Creator has a plan for life, and that plan is evolution. Once a humankind has seen that and really knows it, they cannot help but work for it and become one with it, because it is glorious and beautiful. The divine purpose behind the plan is that it offers the one the opportunity to find himself. When one of us realizes who we are, God meets God, according to Steve Biko. Edward Carpenter said that in inner enlightenment we can finally see things as they are, contemplating all creation, the animals, the angels, the plants, the figures of our friends, and all the ranks and races of the humankind in their true being and order. When Dante Alighieri awoke to the cosmic sense, to the new cosmos, the first thing that struck him was the vision of the eternal wheels, the chain of causation, the universal order, a vision infinitely beyond expression by human words. His new self had its eyes fixed on this, the cosmic unfolding. In beholding the cosmic vision and the cosmic ecstasy, he was transfigured into God. Jacob's ladder, the ladder of consciousness, representing the spiritual evolution of the children of light, from the point of unconscious awareness of their divine identity to conscious awareness. The dawning of consciousness is called enlightenment. The famous Sufi sage Ibn al-Arabi of Murcia says, "I was a hidden treasure and I loved to be known, and I created creation so that I might be known." He adds that only God sees God. Bain Sadowno says something similar. Why did God wish to create the world so that he could manifest himself? The divine plan is like a circular spiral. The Upanishads say that God created the world to enjoy his own exuberance and playfulness, to know himself in manifestation. Franklin Merrill Wolfe said, "I produced this space that to reveal my glory, but only I realized that revelation." Swami Verabananda said, "Only God can know himself, be divine, so that you may know the infinite." Sri Ramakrishna said, "Only greatness appreciates greatness, and God realizes himself." Ramakrishna jokingly describes the divine reaction when, at the moment of enlightenment, God recognizes himself. When Shiva realizes his own self, he dances for joy, exclaiming, "What am I?" So, the divine plan is for God to recognize himself by manifesting in the world as we do, gradually rising from a place of unconscious awareness of our divine identity to conscious awareness through enlightenment. Reset News. Simon Bucks provides a detailed assessment of the major events at play: the chances of Biden resigning or being impeached, the military's stance, Trump's moves, Bolsonaro's moves, etc. He revealed that it was a group of psychologists, Germans, who had decided that the humankind could not bear to hear the truth. What is causing the delay in planetary freedom? We seem to have liberators who are trying to be another form of our captors, writes Melinda Siebold. According to Charlie Ward, the central bank digital currency will destroy the old banking system, and then what the QFS will do is pick up the pieces that are needed from that. And there will be the bridges between the two systems to move it back to your system. But it's like running a deal and then buying it cheap, and then move it to your big deal, and that's the structure that's going to be done. The Davos Forum was started by people who wanted total control of the world, but they are taking control of it to give it back to the good guys. Zimbabwe is backing it with diamonds, and Iraq, Iran, Syria, and Libya are backing it with oil. It's not just gold, silver, and precious metals. What we think we know. Judy Bington's view on what we think we know as for now. The Chinese elders were made up of different multi-generational Chinese families living in the Philippines who, over the centuries, owned and were responsible for about 90% of the world's gold, lending it to countries for the establishment of their financial systems. There were 5 important Chinese elders who were responsible for the global financial restart and the release of funds from currency revaluation. In 1914, the lineage families signed a 99-year lease of the gold of the Chinese elders and then proceed to launder the money through privately owned corporations. That system is being changed with the global financial reset. The coalition originally included 17 countries: Australia, France, Hungary, Germany, Poland, Romania, Spain, the Netherlands, Norway, Russia, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Croatia, Canada, North Korea, and the USA. Its military included the Space Force and military intelligence. BRICS was an alliance of the nations of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, formed in 2008 after the so-called mortgage crisis. In reality, the crisis occurred when they continued to print fiat dollars while bankrupt and could not even pay the interest on the gold they borrowed from the Chinese elders, who backed that dollar as a basis for international trade. In the years since the BRICS were formed, they assessed gold and resources of 209 nations in preparation for a global monetary reset. After the reset start, all countries' currencies would be at a ratio of 1-to-1 with each other instead of relying on the dollar for international trade. Identity. Who are the Chinese elders behind the scenes? They secretly rule and dominate China, but little is known about them. These are China's behind-the-scenes leaders running politics and economy, just like the Illuminates in the West. The secret shadowy group behind all that operates in the background. They have been working to reset the world's currencies to be backed by the gold they own and hold. In China, the yuan currency is backed by gold owned by these elders. They are ancient demigods. They have a seat lying in the earth directly within, as the Illuminates have their 13 families of reptilian blood. In China, the elders are a different faction distinct from them as the dragon race, because their lineage is traced directly back to the dragon itself. The Chinese themselves are not children of Adam or Cain. They are cut from a different cloth. They are the children of Lilith, Adam's first wife, created for him, who procreated with Lucifer, eventually being banished from earth. But she left her children, the Aldemonite race, who were then raised by the ancient Babylonians and then grew to dominate the Middle East and eventually moved eastward to where they are today, in China. Their base of government is in Mongolia, deep ground, the city of Shambhala. From there, they rule their own along with the various factions of other outer races and demigods that live on the ground. It is accessible via the North and South Poles and from many other smaller hidden access points around the world. Along with the ancient race of elders known as the White Lizards, who operate in an underground city beneath the Libyan desert, they have been rallying behind the scenes, directing world affairs, economies, and religions. To be clear, dragons are not the same as reptiles. They are different creations, histories, villages, nations, lineages, and leaders. Dragons have bat-like wings and a very different appearance, with lizard-like skin and features. Curious. Tall, assertive women intimidate men, according to a study. Fireball events in the UK, Texas, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and California. It is said that the comet Zeta TF is Nibiru and that it is coming on February 1st. Engineers in Switzerland have announced a device that uses sunlight to absorb water from the air to produce hydrogen. They add that it can be easily manufactured and used on a large scale. This means you would never have to pay to refuel your hydrogen car. Shambhala would be in an area in northwest Iran, and you will never guess where it is and who created it. This is momentous news because in the Buddhist text Nagorpa Kalachakra, the king of Shambhala is said to be the savior of the world. But most people will not understand this because Iran at that time was not the same as it is today, and was in tatters at that time. A research team at Reichman University in Israel has found that the nutritional quality of spirulina algae is superior to beef in terms of protein, essential fatty acids, and iron, and could serve as a healthy, safe, and more sustainable alternative to meat in everyday life, much better than insects. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.